So Ritu, beautiful paintings on mother, and I hope I will get opportunity to see the whole thing. And you have a story behind each of these.
जी
So you could start saying how your mother was in touch with Mother Teresa, and how you came in her life, and how mother came into your life.
I'm a Punjabi, living my father and my family were all in Pakistan. We are from Pakistan, refugees, and we were staying in Punjab. And I was very tiny after 47, of course, and I was born then, but all these lovely things happened before. After 47, we had to come away to India, and from India we were in Amritsar. From Amritsar we had to shift to Calcutta. Now, to shift to Calcutta was a reason, because I was very tiny and I suddenly got very sick, and there was no cure for my ailment. Some doctor who's researching into this ailment, why don't you take your daughter to Calcutta? So when my mother, she brought me to Calcutta. That is how we first started our journey, coming to Calcutta. And she went and she took me to the doctors and things, and then we were trying to get my mother was trying to get some cure for me. But in the meantime, she was so upset and so dejected that she always wanted I wish that she could get somebody who she can fall back on as a spiritual person. So her friend suggested that there is a lady called Mother, and she is in Calcutta. Why don't you go and meet her? So when my mother went there, we're talking about the 50s, she met Mother, and it was like love at first sight. Both of them took to each other so nicely, and they never separated after that. So Mother always made Saroj, my mother, feel like as if she was one of her sisters or one of her associates. So this is how my mother started working with Mother and being very close to Mother. She would do whatever Mother would tell her to do, and they spent a lot of time together. Wherever Mother went, whenever she wanted to go somewhere, my mother was with her to go. And that's how her life continued. And while in the meantime, I was not introduced to Mother by then, but one day my mother took me to Mother house, and Mother's place where she was living then, and she introduced me to Mother, and she told her about me, that she's very sick, and Mother, I am very upset about this, and there's nothing we can do. Please, if you could pray for her. So Mother looked at me, she took me into her arms, and she told my mother that, Saroj, do not worry about your daughter anymore. I am taking a vow for Ritu, and she will become all right. So this is how my life and my association started with Mother Teresa. So when she said that now you don't have to worry about anything, I am looking after you and you will be all right, I am praying for you, and Jesus will cure you. So that's how life started going on, and I was all the time in and out of Mother house. Whenever my mother went anywhere with Mother, she used to travel with Mother, so she used to leave me in Mother house, and then the sisters would look after me, and they would pamper me and spoil me and give me things to do, and tell me stories. So that's how my life continued with Mother while I was very young. And every time Mummy would stay with Mother, and she would work with her and then go back and in the evening and take me back home. So life carried on like that, and I grew up, and my ailment was becoming so much better. And then Mother told my mother, Saroj, that when Ritu becomes all right, you should take her to Lourdes to thank Our Lady of Lourdes for curing her. So, and any time that you can go, you go with her or you send her. So, well, we kept on trying. I was getting cured, and so, when there was a time when we very much wanted to go, but we couldn't go, and my mother couldn't go for so many reasons. So we're talking about that's 20 years later, 19 something. Before Mother, she used to always ask me, Ritu, have you been to Lourdes? Now you're all right. So I said, Mother, I'm trying to go. And Mother said, you want me to send you there? I said, when I was grown up enough, and so I was also working then. I said, Mother, I want to go on my own. and try and get to Lourdes with my own finance, and I don't want any trouble on you. So mother appreciated that. She said, okay, so you go soon. So this kept on, the years went by, and I became a teacher, I became a professor of art. And my life with mother since a little child, that is what motivated me to paint. My painting career started at the age of 5, when I used to go to mother house, and they would give me paper and pencil to draw, and I do make sketches of the sisters, of the little animals there. So that's how it sort of, that creativity started coming into me, and I started painting the sisters, and then slowly sketching mother and doing paintings on mother. So this was my beginning. Before my schooling and then my college, I joined the Government Art College to continue with my paintings, because it was a wonderful topic, that my mother, and I'm painting her and her home and her sisters, and that everything was revolving around mother house and mother. And though I did lots of other types of paintings, but initially with everything would turn into somewhere mother is there. So this is how it started my career. And then of course after college I got a job in La Martiniere for boys, where I was a professor of art. For 33 years I painted, and I was teaching children, boys, how to paint. And that it went on. Then one day when mother asked me, Ritu, have you been to Lourdes? So I said, no mother, I couldn't go. I'm trying very hard and I want to go, but I'm not getting an opportunity. I can't go alone from here, so I need someone to take me. So she said, the second miracle that took place. So she says, okay, you go home and start preparing, and you will be able to go this year. Why she said that, it doesn't, I don't know, but we never questioned her for anything. So we went, and when we left mother house and came home, and I suddenly get a call from Germany saying that, Ritu, you've always told us that you want to come to Lourdes. I will take you to Lourdes. Now this happened to be my mother's cousin, who out of the blue just called us and said, why don't you come? You come and I'll take you to Lourdes, and I will get your vow fulfilled. So this was one. I've had so many miracles done, it was like a miracle. This is happening so suddenly that I was not even prepared for it. But then I said, okay. So he says, why don't you come this week? The next week your uncle is coming to America. You come with them. Get off in London and then take the flight to to Hamburg. I'll be there for you. So I said, okay. So I went. I did manage to go, and they took me all over, to Lourdes, to the Vatican, to Rome and Lourdes and everywhere. And we had the most wonderful pilgrimage I had, where I went and I paid my respects to Our Lady of Lourdes. And I drank the holy water, I think gallons of it, and came back with a gallon of water from the holy river. And the people at the airport said, what is this you're carrying? So I had to say, this is all, what are you carrying? I said, this is the holy water of Lourdes. So they had, they were so amused. Is that all you're carrying? I said, yes, that's all I'm carrying home back with me. So they were really, very amused, and they said, okay, if we're not allowed to do that, but we allow you to go. So, and I came back, and I still have that water of Lourdes with me. And so, these are the things that so many miracles have happened with me, with mother. Every day of my life has been like a miracle with her. I've survived for so long. I've had so many ailments. The 3 major miracles she did was one when I was a little girl, then when in the year 1976 I got very sick, she again cured me. Then I had meningitis, and then she got me back. Nobody survives of meningitis, but I did. I've made history in the medical history. They told me, they said, the Bellevue Hospital says, ma'am, they're telling my mother, whoever's come with meningitis has never gone back, but your daughter's gone healthy, and nothing wrong with me, absolutely nothing. I would like to ask you one question. You are asking me, but I'm going to ask you one. Do you know why mother was sent to Calcutta to work here? When she was just 16 years old, she came from Albania to Darjeeling, and from Darjeeling to Calcutta. why? This is one question I've always wanted somebody to give me an answer, that why did mother come to Calcutta, and what was the reason, and who sent her here? Because this is something which is a big question mark, and if you believe in it, that we, at least I, from my experience, I always say that it is Jesus who sent her here to us to make Calcutta and to make us love Mother as what she is now, Mother Teresa for Calcutta. See, every time when we say that why Mother came here, there's a wonderful deep reason. Again, I say it is from my experience. I speak totally from my own experience and what I feel, that Mother was sent to Calcutta for a reason. She was sent to Calcutta to make the people of Calcutta love and become more human, and to bless them and to do service for Jesus and God, which we as Calcuttans, we have this wonderful system of, we have so many mothers, in Calcutta, and the only way that Mother Teresa was sent here was for a purpose of becoming the saint of the world. Now this could only be done in Calcutta. Why in Bengal? Because the woman deity, rather the woman is worshipped in Bengal, and we have so many women deities and so many Ma's in Bengal, that she automatically, with her service, with her love, with her beautiful presence, she became to be known as Mother and Mother of all. So that's how, I believe that she was, before her canonization and her beatification, before that, the Calcutta people, rather the people of Bengal, had already made her into a Ma, into a Shakti, into a holy person, because all her work was always, so much close to Jesus and God, and it was so pious. So Calcutta had already proclaimed her as a saint before she was given her sainthood. And my mother and me, we used to work ever since, we worked with her. We always used to call her that she is the Karunamoyi Ma. That's what my mother had named Mother, because in Calcutta, in Bengal, we did not have a Karunamoyi Ma as to worship her, the Mother of Compassion. We don't have a Mother of Compassion in Bengal. So Mother automatically was given this upadhi, just one says, this special name, and saying that she was the Karunamoyi Ma of Bengal and of the world. And so when she was canonized and made into a saint, we were always worshipping her as a saint much before her sainthood. Because the reason, there's so many wonderful stories about her, all her work that she used to do, and especially the name also was known to her, like officially came from the Kali Ghat, that is a dying destitute, where my mother and Mother Teresa used to always be there. They used to look after the dying and the poor and the sick. When you see, when Mother took her first patient, rather from the road, she picked up someone and she had nowhere to go to look after the patient and the dying. So she took the person to that Kali Ghat Sara, where there is a place where people rest, the resting place of the people, Dharmshala. So she took that person there and put that person, that sick person there. But there was a lot of, when the people saw what she was doing, rather she took a dying person into the Dharmsala, they opposed and they started stoning her and abusing her and telling her to get out of the place. But she had a very sick person with her, and they wouldn't go near the sick person, but they would just tell her to go out and leave the place. My mother and me were there at that time, and they were throwing stones at her and abusing her. And so my mother talked to the public in their local language, in Hindi and Bengali, and she said that, why are you doing this? Why are you stoning her? She is doing something for you. And if any of you from the public, you come and do this yourself, my mother will leave this place and go. But if you don't want to do it, then let us do our work, and we will give some relief to the person who's dying. So, there was a sort of a pin drop silence. Everybody looked sheepishly at each other. They would not want to do that, and they all sort of separated and went away and left Mother alone, and she started looking after the person. But the when the public was not there to say something, but the temple, the person who looked after the temple, that's the main person who we call as pandas, or the person who's in charge of the temple, he opposed a lot, and he said, no, I will see to it that mother is removed from this place. She should not be here. So, well, mother said, okay, you tell me to go, but you look after this person. So he said, no, we have to remove him also, or her, whoever it was, they have to be removed. So by then mother had 2-3 sick, dying, very, very dying people in there. So she said, no, I'm going to look after them no matter what. You do your duty, I will do mine. And so this is how, it started. And then mother went, when that time the person who was looking after he was the chief minister, was Mr. Jyoti Basu. She went to him and she asked for this place. But in the meantime, it was becoming quite nasty that person, they were always irritating mother and trying to get her out of that place. So one fine day what happened was the panda, that main guy from the temple who was always opposing, he got very sick. And he was so sick that people just didn't want to sort of take him anywhere for cure. He was like, he had big boils on his body, and the pus and all that, and he was dying. So then, and they left him out of the temple. They took him out of the temple and put him on the road. So mother came and she took him inside the same place, the Dharamshala, and she put him there. And she looked after him when nobody was looking after him. He had no one to look after. They just let him out of the temple just to die. So then when he saw what mother was doing and what mother did, and mother cured him, so that was, the turning point of his life, and the turning point of mother's, the agitation of what was going on in Kalighat. And he proclaimed to mother, and and he talked to my mother, and he was getting cured, and we were there, and we used to always have conversations. And my mother said, look, you opposed to the person who is the Karunamoyi Ma. She looked after you, and now she has cured you. So what do you have to say? He says, I have nothing to say. She is my Ma, she is my mother, and she is the mother of Bengal. And I proclaim her as Ma Karunamoyi. And so that's how, people started knowing her, and then that's how, it's sort of, that place became a known place for mother, the dying destitute. And then later on, as one, it's written in the books also, that she went to the chief minister, and he gave her the place legally. She got that place to look after, and was known as the dying destitute, or Nirmal Hriday. So that's how, everything took place, slowly things were, so beautifully done, and mother was becoming known to the world. And especially in Calcutta, she was known as a goddess. She was, people used to pray to her as a goddess. They would do exactly what they would do with the goddess. They would go and pray, have pujas, and the very simple people. And as a matter of fact, my mother and me, we always prayed to her as a goddess. And we have done so many rituals on her, which, this is a very private thing that I'm telling you, is that, my mother has done the Kavari puja on her, both of us. We have done so many pujas on her, and she never said no to us. And she always let us do whatever we wanted to do. We did the Kavari puja on the day this is an incident I have to tell you. This is something so dear to my heart, that we went on Kavari puja to do puja on mother. Mother didn't know that we were coming, and we just went. We took sweets and some garlands and some flowers, and we went there. So we wanted to do the puja, and mother told us, you wait. She was busy in a meeting. She said, okay, whenever we went to mother house, we would never turn back out, saying that, no. She always told us, you wait, I'm coming. And she would come, always made a point to come. So she told us that, you wait, I'm coming. So you sit down. So we told her, then we waited. We waited 1 hour, we waited 2 hours. We were there at about 5 o'clock. We went to do the puja. But the Kavari puja we never knew what time it took place or takes place. There's a certain muhurat for it, which we never knew. But we just used to go at random to worship mother, because she was our mother. And for mother, there was no time. Time is timeless, So that is our belief, my mother's and mine. So we went there and we sat, because mother said, you sit, I'm coming. So from 1 hour it turned to 2 hours, 2 hours turned to 3 hours. We kept saying, every time I'd remind the sister, I think mother's forgotten that we are here. We are sitting. Please, is she coming? She said, sit, wait, I'm coming, I'm coming. She came at about 7, quarter past 7 or 7:30 or something like that. I forget the timing exactly. But she came out in the evening. It was pitch dark and we waited for 3 hours. And when she came, we automatically stood up and said, Mother, we've come to do puja on you. Please, will you just accept this prasad and let us do the puja? She said, okay. We put the garland on her. We took the sweets out and we said, Ma, this is for you. And she took it in her hands. And so I asked Mother, will you give me back one of the sweets? She says, why, my child, you have given this to me, why do you want it back? I said, Mother, I only want one back, because what you will give me will become holy and becomes a prasad for us. So that we will eat from your hands. So she looked at Mummy and me and she smiled, and she smiled, and then she opened the box and she gave us one. And we did pranam to her and we came away. When we came back home, my family was quite agitated. Why are you there? Where were you all this whole evening? You've been sitting where? So we said we were in Mother house. We were waiting for Mother. So my uncle he had just come from office, and he was having a cup of tea and he sat down. So he says, why are you so late? My mother said, because Mother was not coming out, and so when she came out, we sort of did the puja on her. So he says, what time was that? So my mom said, 7:15 or something. So he says, what? It was 7:15. He says, do you know that was the right muhurat of when Ma comes into the deity? So we have the puja mein, jab Kali puja hota hai, Durga puja hota hai, the Pandas pray that the right muhurat jo hota hai, wo jab when it happens, it comes at a certain time when Our Lady, is blessed with the deity, gets the spirit of Mother into her and she comes alive. So that was the muhurat, and that was the moment when we put the garland in her neck and we took the prasad. And Mother never ever opposed. This is so beautiful, something so uncanny, and so it gives you goose pimples when you talk about this. It's a miracle. Like, for us, these were the miracles. And we were in the seventh heaven. My mother, she was like in a status, where she's totally flawed. She said, really? We waited for so long for the right muhurat. And she called us then. And she came out then, that moment. So, it's a believe it or not. You believe it or you don't. But for us, we believed in it and we were there. So these wonderful moments have occurred in our life, like for 60 years being with Mother. And each year, and there's a wonderful little moment also, if you want me to say that. There was a time when Mother was roaming a lot, and she was always invited to go abroad and things like that. So we used to always go in and out. Whenever Mother was there in Calcutta, we made a point that we go to see her and take her blessings. And anything that has to be done is not without Mother's blessings. It has to be done with Mother's blessings. So my mother and me, we were coming from Park Street. We were in a taxi, and we took my special cake shop was there. So we took some cakes. I said, Mama, let's take some cakes and go home. Then before going home, Mummy said, let's go and see Mother, and then we'll go home. But not realizing we were not in our own car, we were in a taxi. So we had this little box, small little box of cakes, and the sponge cakes, my favorite. And we were going. So we got down in Mother house. Then we realized that there were about 300 sisters standing in a line, in a queue, waiting. So I said, what's happened? What's happening? So Mother is leaving out of India. So she's gone somewhere. She has to catch a plane in another hour. She hasn't come back. So we're all waiting to take her blessings. And so when she comes, we will take her blessing and she will leave tell us to do whatever she has to tell us to do. So you said, the sister said, you wait, Ritu, you wait, Saroj, you wait. She's coming any moment. This miracle is that we did not know that she was going. We did not know that she's going abroad for a long time. And we did not know that there's a queue over there. So we just landed up there and we waited. So Mother came suddenly. She just came. And my mother was, she had a little box in her hand and she didn't know where to put it. We were in the parlor And we were outside, rather, next to the gate where mother was coming, and there was a staircase then outside. This is a new rebuilding, you know, this is different now. Earlier it was like that. So mother came and she just ran upstairs. She saw my Saroj, that's my mother and me, and she says, Saroj and Ritu, you wait, I'm coming. So she ran upstairs. She was in such a hurry. She went up, she went to her room to freshen up and came down again. And my mother in the meantime had that box and she was trying to hide it. I have brought this now, mother is coming, and if she sees this, and I can't take this from mother house, it's a holy temple. How can I take something out from here? So she didn't know what to do with it. So she was trying to keep it here, keep it there, hide it behind her, you know. And she kept it around behind her saris, thinking when mother comes, she should not see it. So then when mother came down quickly, from the top of the stair, she tells, Saroj, give me that box that you have in your hand. I will eat it on the way because I'm very hungry and they will not give me anything to eat on the plane. My mother got, you know, she just became like a statue. She didn't know what to do. She said, after just a few seconds, yes mother, and mother just took it. She just took it from her hand and she went away. That's it. And my mother just stood like a statue for nearly an hour or half an hour, I don't know what. We were so stunned. She was hiding it behind. How did mother come to know that she had some cakes with her? Or whatever. And she says, you give it to me, I'll eat it on the way. She took it. And she came back after about 3 months, mother came back. The first time when we again went to see her, we came to know she's come. Mother says, Saroj, your cakes were very nice. I had them on the plane because they refused to give me anything to eat. So, you know, these incidents, these things that you know, we were so close to mother for a reason. We were so close to her because these miracles, you know, I mean, I call it a miracle. This was a miracle. And this is how it used to happen. Each day was a miracle for me. Each day was a miracle for my mother. And here, you know, in this house, you won't believe it. I mean, again, it's believe it or not. Whenever we pray for something to mother, it happens. I get it. If I pray for something, I always get what I want. And mother listens. For example, this book, coffee table book, is a miracle again. I prayed very, very hard. I said the memoraros, when mother used to tell me, say the memoraros, you get it done. She used to tell me, do your prayers with your heart and it'll happen. So I prayed for this and somebody just offered me the book, said, we'll do it for you, out of the blue. And just a student of mine, who I had left so many years ago, he was rather one of mine in 78 or 79. That student says, yes ma'am, I would like to do a coffee table book for you. So this is the miracle. I've always lived with mother, lived through miracles my whole life. And now my only miracle, I hope mother does another miracle on my mother and she sort of helps her to live her ailment with grace. You know, there was an incident when I was in mother house and Father Brian had come from the Vatican and he was, you know, we were talking. He was a very dear person who, you know, he used to talk a lot with me and I used to talk to him. And one of those moments I asked him, Father Brian, do you have any idea why mother was sent to Bengal? Why sent to Calcutta of all the places in India? Why did it happen that she was sent to Calcutta? And who sent her and for what purpose? So he was quite baffled, you know, when I asked him this question, and it came rather suddenly from me. So he started sort of thinking and he says, I don't think I can tell you this on the spot. I don't think I have thought of this. So I said, but I know why. So he says, why? So I said, Father, you know, mother has been sent because when I went to Lourdes, and I read the history of Saint Bernadette, and what was the story behind that? Her life was unlived, you know, she died very young, and she was promised by Our Lady when she was taking her away, that you will come back and you will become the mother of the world. And you will do what you wanted to do. You wanted to do seva, you wanted to look after the sick and the poor. You will do all that, and you will do it according to your own will. And so this is what I feel, that she is the reincarnation of Saint Bernadette, and she has come to our Calcutta to become the mother of the world, because it is only in Calcutta that she can be known as mother of the world and a saint. because we in Calcutta have so many deities, all mothers, and so very many deities who the Bengal people, they worship, the Ma. So mother being the Ma is worshipped by the people of Calcutta. So this is why, I very strongly feel that mother was sent here for the purpose of becoming the mother of the world, and a mother and a saint of the world from Calcutta, and she is with us now. Mother always, whenever we used to ask her, Mother, how can you do this? How are you looking after those sick people, and they're so much in pain and agony and dying with all that blood and pus? She says, I do not see that, my child. That's how she used to speak. I see Jesus in him or in her, because Jesus wants me to do this, and I see him through the dying and the destitute. So this is how she used to work all the time, in like whatever she did in life, she always saw Jesus in that, and she saw Jesus in them, and she always said that I am with Jesus and Jesus is with me. So this is how she worked. And this is how she became the mother of the world and the saint, but a saint for us much earlier than the Vatican. So for us, mother will always be Mother Teresa and a mother to us, and later on the saint. This is how close I am to mother, as a daughter of mother. So I'm known in Calcutta as the daughter of mother. So very blessed. And this book is a special book on mother, which was made by a student of mine, which again is a miracle. This is again a wonderful miracle, that this book is on the saint of Calcutta, memories and paintings and my memories and my photographs and my precious moments which I have taken on camera are here in this book. So this is the foreword. This is, that the Khabar Pe My Bouquet is when she gets the news of her Nobel Prize, the daughter in mother's arms. This is the translation. So the story is all here a little bit. This book holds a little story about mother and all the incidents, small little incidents. This is the first portrait that I painted of young mother. Again, this painting was done in the year 1979, and I gave it to her in 80, and she signed it. So she has, her signature is on the painting, behind the painting, where she's written to dear Ritu, my child, which again she has proclaimed that I am her child. So these are the wonderful moments, that, and this painting is so precious and so beautiful that I have managed to capture her essence on the painting. So it's something very, very special. And Father Brian saw this painting and he said that this is the only painting and the first painting in the world that looks like Mother Teresa. So I am totally blessed because of this. And this is the first painting which I presented in her parlor. Again, it is signed by her. I gave it, this again has a story. Would you like me to tell you the story? Yeah. This story is that I gave this painting, I painted it for her parlor because she loves the flowers and the candle. And when I made this for her and took it to her parlor to put it in the parlor, she looked at it and she says, my dear child, this is such a beautiful painting. I don't think I can take it and put it in the parlor because we only keep we are the poorest of the poor and we cannot afford to keep such a beautiful painting, an expensive painting in the parlor. So she says, Ritu, my child, why don't you do this? Give this to me, I will auction it and get money for the Shishu Bhavan. I'm making a small place for the children, the Shishu Bhavan. So I was shocked, I said, Mother, I did this for your parlor, I did it for you. Please don't auction it. Please don't take it away and give it to some unknown person, because I took 6 months to make this painting for you. So she looked at me, and she saw the tears in my eyes, when she said she's going to get rid of it and give it away. So then she said, okay, child, I will not give it. I will not auction it. Do me a favor. You have given this to me. She took it in her hands and she said, now it's mine. I said, yes, Mother. Now I'm giving it to you to keep it for me. And she gave it back to me.
Okay.
And I took it. So I brought back the painting So everybody in the house asked me, you took it for mother and you have brought it back. He says, mother has signed on it. This is her gift that I have given her, and she's given it to me to look after, because she says that she cannot put this in the house. So I have this with me. So this is the story, she was absolutely, amazing, wonderful.
That also shows her
The love, and she had so much of love for me that she didn't want to hurt me. I give her something and she says, now you take it back and look after it as my gift, as mine. So
I see another point.
Yes, tell me.
Of course, the love.
The love, yes.
Religious, one part what you experience is love, that is
Absolutely.
there. I experience another aspect, a lesson for me, that uncompromising principle. She has that principle that we won't keep expensive things.
Yes, no.
You are giving gift as a gift.
Absolutely.
Anyone else
Yes.
would accept it.
Yes.
And make a compromise with that.
Ji.
But this is uncompromising principle, standing firm, because that love for poverty, personal poverty,
Yes, yes.
and institutional poverty is more important
Ji.
than anything else.
Absolutely. So she gave it back to me and I took it, and everybody, when you come, you brought it back, you brought it back. So I said, yes, I brought it back, because she said it's her gift. She wants me to keep it for her. So I cannot refuse mother. So I brought it back. The same way, this portrait. This portrait was presented to mother. She put it in her first love, that is the Nirmal Hriday. It was there for so many years till she was alive. She herself hung it on the wall. And then, after she left this world, one day Sister Nirmala rings me up and says, Ritu, you have that wonderful portrait of Mother Teresa there in Mother House in the Nirmal Hriday. Do you want it back? I looked, on the phone, I said, sister, you want to give it back to me? She says, yes, because if it is left there, somebody will take it away. So you go and take it. So I said, but sister, give me something in writing so that they will give it to me. So she wrote a little note. I went to Mother House. She wrote a note, please give the painting back to Ritu. And they gave it back to me. Now I have it with me. And it is priceless. Because she understands that it is a relic. So she gives me back the relic.
Yeah.
She doesn't want it going into anybody else's.
Sister Nirmala had that quality.
She had that quality. She always believed in that quality, that what I have done for her, and then if mother is not there, it should be returned to me. Which, again, it's a wonderful, wonderful gesture, and I am totally floored, because when she gave it back to me and I got back a relic. And this over here also, these two paintings are also signed by her.
This is very powerful.
This is
This
Albida.
really shows
Yes.
her real
And this
stature.
is the house, Mother House.
Yeah.
And this is the in and out. And if you go there, it's written that Mother in, because she's now totally in.
Oh, wonderful.
So she used to, whenever go, she used to, put it there. She used to change that little thing.
Yeah.
I'm going out, so people should know she's not there. So she signed this one, and she signed this one here. This is with the date. It's priceless, totally priceless. It's a small painting with the date. The rickshaw, this is her first love, my first love. And this is very authentic. This is actually the Nirmal Hriday.
Yeah.
So I sort of document these, in my camera, and then I paint.
This is Kali Ghat.
Yes, Kali Ghat. But this is not in the camera, because this is from my imagination.
Yeah.
So these are the 3-4 paintings that I have. This is again, what actually happened when Mr. Jyoti Basu was Chief Minister. The jail, Calcutta jail, that's in Alipur, they had about 300 women in 2 rooms, like sardines. They were just thrown inside the rooms, and they were just rotting and dying and eating each other up. Because there was no medication, there was nobody looking after them, there's no food to feed them. So what the jail people were doing, they were throwing these sick people on the road to be picked up by die, and then the municipality will pick up, and they don't have to pay for it. This is what they were doing. And mother came to know about it. She went to Jyoti Basu, the then Chief Minister, and she told him this, and that she said, all the 300 ladies, this is the ladies' wing, that are inside that jail, I want to take them and look after them. Will you allow me? He says, Mother, you're asking me something which I wish people would do it. I mean, you are like a goddess asking for something which never heard of. Please do whatever you want. You are most welcome. But then mother said, I am taking the 300 women with me to look after them. Give me a place to host the house, a house to build and to put them there. He said, take any place that you want. And she took the Moti Jheel, which is a notorious place for the, bad people, living there, in the sense.
And it is there she started
yes, and
teaching
in that
of the children.
that's right, Moti Jheel, and she made a beautiful oasis over there for these dying women. And from the dying women, just about 4 or 5 died, and the rest are all alive and cured. And now they look after the home, and then they adding, they have given their life to the mother house. It's how wonderful. So this I painted like they are. This is a jail, shackled, and the women are also shackled within. They love to be shackled. Women are Indian women, Bengali. It's a Bengali Taat sari, Bengali woman, and mother is standing there. So I named this painting Resurrection, that the 300 women were resurrected by Mother Teresa.